What up? I made it. Sorry, y'all. Let me fix my wig. All right. Let me take my hair down. All right. Got a lot to go over. What up? Easy to Block Captain updates. What up, Big Ram? Thank you. Ram. What's up? Thank you for coming in. Got a lot to get through today. We'll get to the bottom of some stuff. Okay. Good, Queen. It's good, you guys. Okay. Yes, we got a few things that we need to talk about. I'm like, I can't believe this shit. We about to talk about this shit, guys, okay? Let me get to sharing. All right, I'm going to be sharing my screen because if people don't hear me, they're going to see the fuck I'm talking about. All right. We're just going to get right into it. You guys can put a mark on it. All right, so I'm just going to go right to screen sharing. So this is Exhibit A. Exhibit A. I have a lot up here that we're going to go through. So I just ask for some patience. So this is a window. Okay, I might have to just share it from off of Chrome. Notice of issue. Right, I don't need that. All right, I'm going to go over the URL versus Rare Breed Entertainment, the last bit of information that is current. I think it's August 10th. Then there's also something that happened August 9th with Norb's case and something that happened recently as far as when it was filed, but I'm going to show that in a moment. What I want to get is I want to get to the actual exhibit. Hi, KB. How are you? And Queen T, I appreciate you being here. And I don't know if Easy to Black Cap the updates is back, but I did want to give her a big shout out again. And Big Ram, I appreciate you coming in here. And we're going to talk about some shit. All right, so I want to show exhibit. I have it right here too. So not only do I have a physical copy of the document that I'm going to show, I want to go over this in its entirety again. This is the third time I'm going over this, but I don't care how many times I have to go over it for people to really understand what I'm reading. So instead of it being a whole accumulation of information, I can break down now everything that stands out, the actual evidence, and things related to the case, like the transcripts. What I was reading before is everything in its entirety, including motions and defaults and more defaults and more motions and more defaults and more motions. But these are actions in the court that I wanted to show the legitimacy of what I'm doing. Okay. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to bring this up onto StreamYard, being that I have it on. Let me copy, paste it, pasting. Okay. Now we can see it. All right. So what we're going to go over is where, all right. So there was a conversation because there's a lot that I'm going to unpack. All right. A lot. The first one is all about this NDA. So I just want to shut this shit down. I got to shut it down. The whole concept of putting a non-disclosure or a no-compete into these contracts, there were origins. And there was a Twitter post made by Beasley replying that there was no URL non-disclosure agreement, and that's not true. No matter how elaborate or not elaborate, they all can just be said in a blanket. Somebody else, like the way that Easy the Black Captain had it written out as elaborate, and what he's trying to do is give you guys all the information that is contained in a non-disclosure, and it's about business operations. You just can't talk about how I make money, what deals I do with you, what negotiations we made, the money that is transpiring, or how I go about making the money I make and who I make the money with. These things, not about performing or what you do as far as the action related to your actual performance. That's something completely different than not disclosing information about Gutta City. But your URL originally, from my knowledge, have been doing these non-disclosures and no competes. So even when you have these artists, these battlers, and they're saying stuff like, "Oh, look, they got a NDA. They talking about NDA," but the reason why they think that nobody don't know is because nobody can talk about their contracts, right? So that means that people probably don't know what's in them, right? Non-disclosures are in your contract. So for any of these battlers that on URL over here trying to make a big deal out of it, they all sign them. Every last one of them. All right, so we're gonna go over what these guys from URL for these performances, and the one that I have is for a Summer Madness from not too long ago. Let's get the sharing of the screen, okay? Because you guys need to see. This was submitted in the Rare Breed case against them from the URL. Also, this case is the Ultimate Rap League versus Rare Breed. This is a document that was submitted along with their complaint for torturous interference with the battle for Summer Madness with Daylight. All right, so I'm going to put this larger so you guys can see. I'm playing with you guys, but I really think that you guys need to really understand the business side of things. All right. So the performance agreement dated April 26, 2021. This was just a couple years ago, right? All right, this was signed April 26th, or dated. Is it dated, not signed? Because we don't know what the signature says on there as far as the date that he signed it. Is there a signature on here? Yes, but there's no date. All right, there's no date on here as far as even an area on the contract that says, you know how you sign a contract and it says signature, and on the next side, on the other side, it says date. I'm gonna show you guys that. We're gonna get to that in a minute. All right, so April 26th, Daylight signs this performance agreement for Summer Madness that's supposed to be in September. All right, somewhere around this time period, April, May, like June, July, or something like that, he gets an offer to be on Max Out 2 with Rare Breed Entertainment, and that he was going to be battling King Los. Just imagine what this could do for Daylight's career, or how it would not have affected him on Summer Madness with K Shine. It actually could have gave him more momentum. It could have also increased the probability of everybody wanting to now really see him go at K Shine the way he just did King Los. We see what Ill Will just did to him respectfully in the Blue Room, right? So URL says, no, this is going to hurt us if he battles King Los before he battles K Shine. It's going to devalue us. We don't even want him to perform now because he just caused us so much. And then they turn around, saw Norbs with ARP put into the complaint. Oh, they put into the complaint along with this performance agreement. They put in that complaint that he was with Norbs, but who's supposed to be an independent contractor. They're saying, oh, Norbs might be giving away secrets because he's the disgruntled independent contractor. He may be giving away our secrets to RBE. So we're going to sue him for tortious interference because we feel like Daylight going to battle at Max Out 2. Now we feel like that RBE is interfering with URL contracts, but their contracts explicitly state not to talk to anybody in them. And it doesn't even imply when the performance agreement thereafter being signed, where is the window of prior to performance that this contract speaks of? Because it says these things are done prior to the performance. So there is a time period prior to the performance that you have a reasonable expectation, even based on the contract, that time period you would want them to promote, which a 30-day window at minimum is pretty fair. But although Max Out 2 was at least a month or two before Summer Madness, but URL also included an article from All Hip Hop, that talked about how intellectually phenomenal that Daylight and King Los was, and that this was like a meeting of the minds, and such, they had this outstanding intellect. Then you would believe that if he was successful at promoting and marketing for the RBE, which he didn't, they posted something about the battle, and URL can say, oh, that's promo because All Hip Hop and said something about it, which they would say something about every performance event, something of that nature, just like they're doing right now with Max Out 3, right? And Daylight's not on there, so it's part of what goes on, and Summer Madness has been on there too. So they go over there, screenshot that, and say that Daylight did this or Daylight's responsible for this happening and stuff like that. And they want, millions of dollars. They didn't even say how much they want. Whatever the court says, that's what they said. But they want to see Rap Grid. They subpoenaed Rap Grid in July, like the second week in July or something like that, or going into the third week. URL subpoenaed Rap Grid, trying to get the financials for RBE. But URL took them to court, complained that they caused irreparable harm by what they did with the Max Out 2 and having Daylight on there, and that they tortiously interfered and all this stuff like that. And it cost them time and money. It cost them, they've been completely financially ruined and devastated by this event because they had to terminate him. They said they terminated him. All right, so my thing is, you shot yourself in the foot. That's number one. Because we know Daylight could have performed to the highest capacity, and would have gave him more reasoning to show that he's more than capable to, because a lot of people will want to see, and we know that Daylight would have did his damn thing. We know that. I beg to differ to think that Daylight wouldn't have gave a phenomenal performance at Summer Madness in 2021, given the opportunity to go up against K-Shine. I'm pretty sure he would have been more than prepared. And he also mentioned that in one of his live videos that he has battles that he's written for every top tier artist already. All he has to do is refine them, if anything. But he showed another blogger, and he been locked and loaded. So that's not true to say that he could not perform at a high level, because he's an expert. And also that his promotional, his ability to promote this Summer Madness wouldn't have been affected either. But URL, they beg to differ. Hence why they put this performance agreement in there, because this is how overzealous that they were, because they rule by ego, and they're using all this money that they got and they're dumping it into attorneys that don't look like us and giving away all that money to them. But they won't give the battlers the money. But I'm pretty sure they're making these lawyers very wealthy. I'm pretty sure these lawyers got pools in their backyard or live in nice condos and stuff like this off of the money that they've made from the battlers, because this is how they're able to do all the stuff that they do, and all this fancy stuff like get lawyers and just sue everybody. Oh, but they don't need to pay for a lawyer for this. They got to pay for a lawyer for the Norb situation, which they should have been settled. We're going to get into that too. All right, so April 26, 2021, they said that's the effective date, is made between URL and, they let you see that, for the purpose of setting forth the exclusive terms and conditions by which company desires to acquire artist services. All right, so in consideration of the mutual obligations specified in this agreement, the parties intended to be legally bound hereby agree to the following. But didn't Beasley just say that he don't be trying to hold people to agreements and stuff? Did he just mention that? Well, this right here proves that that's a damn lie, because why are they suing RBE for something that Daylight potentially did? If Daylight is just such this intellectual person, that's based on URL's own evidence that they submitted. That will be exhibit, and I'll show that exhibit. Based on their exhibit, they say that Daylight is extremely intellectually enhanced. Can that lead to believe that he will be able to be knowledgeable of his contract? Could it, if you're submitting evidence in an article that talks about Daylight's intellectual capabilities, then it would be reasonable to believe that he can read. He can read this agreement. And the agreement does say that you can't tell nobody about this contract. So if he's going to the extent of saying, well, I ain't supposed to talk about it, and he wanted that King Louis battle, because anybody probably would have did the same thing and not think for a second that it would be an issue where RBE is now having to dump out tens of thousands of dollars on a lawyer because of something that Daylight, who they admit is intellectually enhanced, should have been fully aware of, is what was being read in this contract. So let's continue. Company hereby engages artist, and the artist hereby accepts such engagement to perform and otherwise render services in connection with a so-called rap battle event, as requested by company. For avoidance of doubt, the services shall, 1, include participation in 1, pre or post appearance live and recorded show, if requested by company, to take place in Los Angeles, any so-called spinoff as required by company in connection with the event, and at least 2 announcements of each artist's social media platforms prior to the event, with the precise date and content of such announcements to be mutually agreed by the parties. Artists will mention company and its affiliates when making such announcements, including links as requested, and will, where feasible and appropriate, include multimedia such as an image, GIF, or video. Artists shall be required to provide any materials or equipment required in connection with the event and the rendering of artist services. And for the avoidance of doubt, companies shall not provide access to any jumbo screens, assistance from DJs or other members of company staff, employees, or other representatives. All right, so let me just explain. Oh, my bad. Artists shall be permitted to have a maximum of 1 guest, and you know that, then we're going by that. I'm glad you made it easy to pick up updates. Hey, what's up, Alexander? Oh, it's online, Alexander? I gotta check it. But I'm gonna say. All right, so artists shall be permitted to have a maximum of 1 guest on stage with artists during the performance at the event, and the company will provide 1 guest and artist a free entry to the event, it being understood that any additional guests or representatives shall be required to purchase tickets. During the event, artists shall remain in a designated artist holding area for the 1 hour prior to the artist's performance and shall remain in close proximity to the location of the event during the 1.5 hour period prior to artist performance, walking distance. And it has something right there, which is a deduction. It shall be deducted from an artist fee, and it's defined by 30-minute period that artist is late for his scheduled performance at the event, unless such delay is caused by an act of God or artist's serious illness, which has been previously disclosed to the company. In connection with the event and artist rendering of services, artist hereby acknowledges and agrees that the event, including any appearances and or performances in connection with the event, may be corporate sponsored. And the stage and other areas where artist performs and otherwise render services in connection with the event may contain a reasonable amount of corporate promotion and or sponsorship materials, including without limited signage on stage during performance. It's okay to do all of this and to literally make you guys Muppets. You stand here next to these corporate stuff, but that's okay to put you black men near these signages. That's what they're saying. You're down for that. All right. So, without limitation, signages on stage during performances. Let's see. And other areas where artists perform and otherwise render services in connection with the event may contain a reasonable amount of corporate promotion and or sponsorship material, including without limitation signage on stage during performances and the inclusion of corporate sponsorship notice and advertisement and promotional materials. He or she may be one of several artists scheduled for the event. An artist hereby waives notice of or approval of artists or acts, including advertising, promotions, therefore, and staging thereof, whether or not the scheduled acts or performances are jointly or separately advertised on stage or staged. Companies shall pay or reimburse artists for all reasonable documented travel and accommodations expenses, which have been pre-approved by company in writing. It being understood that any additional transportation expenses incurred due to artist's negligence, acts, or omission shall be deducted from the artist's fee. All right, so this is the part that does have a redacted part that I'm about to read where it says consideration and rights granted. That's as to why I stopped. I just want to go through the URL contract in its entirety. I'm sorry that I'm stopping in between, but you know that's what I do. Okay. It's full and complete consideration for the services and for the rights granted by artists to company here under. Company shall pay the artist a fee of, we don't know. The artist shall be payable as follows. Promptly following the full execution of the agreement upon the completion of required promotion and payment of promptly following the later completion of the URL promotion. In the event that artist breaches this agreement or otherwise fails to perform the services to company's satisfaction, artist shall immediately return any money paid to artist by company pursuant to this agreement. Artist acknowledges and agrees that the artist does not expect and will not pursue any further compensation for the services rendered and rights granted under this agreement. Artist is agreeing to perform a 3-round battle with each round lasting 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Do you guys see this? It says you have to perform the services to company's satisfaction. What is the fucking satisfaction? So you basically can say, I'm not satisfied, so I'm not going to pay you. You read your contract. There should also be a satisfaction clause. So I'm just breaking it down for you guys to understand, like, how do you pull apart a contract? And I'm saying this like a doctor in business. All right. What the fuck is satisfaction? How do you become satisfied? What is the standard of satisfaction? How is this a reasonable contract beneficial to both parties when you have words that are so elusive and hold no true meaning? The avoidance of doubt. Artist retains ownership of artist's intellectual property, including without limitation any lyrical content provided by artists in connection with the services, collectively the artist's content. Artist hereby grants the company. All right, so let's do this. All right, so I'm just going to highlight that for you. For the avoidance of doubt, artist retains ownership of artist's intellectual property, including, without limitation, any lyrical content provided by artists in connection with the services, collectively the artist's content. Artist hereby grants company a worldwide, non-exclusive, royalty-free, perpetual, sub-licensable, and transferable license to use, reproduce, distribute, prepare, and perform the artist's content in connection with the event and any recording or video thereof in any media platforms and through any media channels. Companies shall have the unrestricted right to create photographs, audio recordings, and or audio-visual recordings of the event, including, for the avoidance of doubt, artist performances and rendering of the services, the event recordings. An artist agrees that any such event recording shall be owned by the company. And then y'all got a problem with what the fuck Easy the Black Captain doing with a non-disclosure? trying to protect himself, his company, and the money that he making, because he's trying to keep you guys ethical. He's trying to create standards where he could protect himself, because you see how y'all come at him, right? So you thinking that he's not supposed to have non-disclosures when it comes down to his business, when y'all start checking his pockets? Because y'all know he's trying to make money, right? He's not trying to do this. This is what y'all doing, though. This is what y'all doing right now. Okay, he not doing that. Don't he got his battle up on gotacity.com? Mods, you guys can put a link to the pay-per-views for Nostalgia, which is September 9th. And then we got Easy the Black Captain versus Kichikari, September 16th on Chrome 23, because there's no place like Chrome. Mods, make sure y'all guys put gotacity.com up in there, because that's a one-stop shop. You can go there and get the pay-per-views, both of them, and you also can grab you some nice Gutta City wear, and it's starting to get cool, so make sure y'all get a hoodie. Them hoodies are very inexpensive. They do run larger, and they're good for like nice fall, cool nights. So cop one, and they're really cute. But this is what the battlers are doing, and got the nerve to be on here talking about, no, you can't have this. They're like that. Oh, wait, here we go. Because I've been watching this shit. What is happening in battle rap? Oh, we can't have this in battle rap. NDAs. Oh, y'all ruining battle rap with these NDAs. This right here is what's ruining battle rap. When these artists know that now they know that their intellectual property has been worth millions of dollars. Nobody said, yo, I'm going to collect all these and I'm going to make millions off of it. They really thought that, oh, these guys just had like connections and stuff like this. When in all essence, a lot of what your business model was about was investments, having investors, having sponsors, having people who had the nostalgia for the Smack era and the Smack DVDs and stuff like that. So they don't mind contributing because they are more financially secure. And everybody wants to try to sustain battle rap and put into battle rap the same way that you saw what Remy was doing. It's like, okay, I can keep giving URL money. I can keep supporting them, because didn't she and her husband host battles for URL? Okay, so they've given their time, energy, and their respect to the URL. And they, and then you turn around and you say, you know what? I can probably do more if I do it myself, right? I could probably put in more, and I could probably do more because of who I am and who my husband is. I think that this would be a book for battle rap too. So let me slide up in here and start bringing some more money and some more. All right, but it doesn't look like this. It doesn't look like this. Right. So the artist hereby irrevocably authorizes and permits, subject to the provisions above, company to use artist name, actual and professional, photographs, likeness, sound effects, biography, and caricatures in any manner. Artist understands that company is not obligated to use artist name and likeness materials. Artist hereby grants company its successors and assigns the right to use and display artist's name, likeness, and artist's performance as contained or captured during the event for any and all purposes and in any and all media channels, now known or hereafter devised. Artist agrees to accept as full compensation for artist services and for the rights granted by artists, the artist's fee provided in paragraph 2A above. Okay, so y'all said that there was no non-disclosure in the URL contracts, the performance agreements, right? The same ones over there, like Geechee, Shotgun Suge, running their mouth because they think that what we don't, they stupid. Don't they know that? Did URL tell them like, yo, don't, no, Beasley went online and said, oh, we don't have no non-glue. We don't do that. We don't stop battlers from talking about shit. You can't talk about everything in the battle. You damn sure can't talk about the actual company. And that's a fact. You could talk about the battler, you could talk about all of that shit, but you cannot talk about the league, what goes on behind the scenes with the leagues and how much they're making and who they're making money with and how they be doing it to make money and how they making money off of y'all, shit like that. Like, if you're not putting in, if you're not part of that group of people that are within that company, you're not privy to that information because it becomes trade secrets. It's because right now you got leagues that will do anything to sabotage you. That's a fact. So be only right and fair to establish yourself and to build momentum to so that you can create a blueprint, because you got to make room to create a blueprint in order to turn around and say, okay, this works. This is how I was able to maneuver through some obstacles and some sabotages. But if you let money know, they can head you off at the pass or do whatever they can. Absolutely, Flo. I'm about to go back through you guys, so excuse me. All right, before I forget, Alexander, I didn't forget. I wrote that down with the he said Jessica Denson, but I'm not sure if that's available. But if it is, I'll get it. BRC Hub, what's up? Thank you for coming in. Flo, Road to a Million, thank you for coming in. Make sure you guys put your links to your channels if you have channels, so you guys can. Oh, capital K, round. She shouldn't get anything. She won't be compensated. But then, what money was spent on her to play, the plane ticket, the hotel, to get hair and makeup done. That hair and makeup is hundreds of dollars to get your hair and makeup done. And then the wigs, I don't know what kind of wigs they were, but wigs can cost you a lot. The one I got on is like $1,000. So like they're not, but I doubt she put $1,000 wig in there. But you know what I'm saying? They still cost at least a few hundred, the cheap ones. And she, and all the girls looked amazing that got their hair and makeup done by Remy and them. So they were looking like $1 million, better than when I be seeing them anywhere else. Because sometimes I be looking like, didn't they get some money for this battle? Like, why didn't they get dressed? All right, so Flo said Disaster rapped about everything he wanted to, and that's a fact. He sure did. What didn't he rap about? He was trying to use it because he's seen that the polls were having easy win by a landslide. Like, there wasn't even any part of that was to debate. It was like, all right, that move on to next conversation. NDA. He tried to have me sign an NDA. I signed an NDA. That's why I couldn't say what I said. I couldn't say what I wanted to say but you said everything you possibly could say to somebody like that, and it just didn't work. And we all knew that it was going to fall flat because it was just a rumor. Like, bro, like, we're over that. Like, then we don't debunk that months ago. It's not going to work. And Geechee can try it all he wants to. He's gonna fall flat too. So I would suggest them actually rapping. Like, if you need to really just rap about and be good at what you do, but using angles. And Kel from Married to the Bars would say this all the time. Like, angles should never win battles. Young Nine Slim, what's up? I'm glad you made it. I got the as you see, the Ultimate Rap League performance agreement. That's what we have on the screen, and this is Daylights from Summer Madness. The URL owners are pimps, and the battlers are being good hoes to their Mac daddies. That's what Capital K said. He said that they definitely, I used to say this, that I'm loyal to a default, but I'm not loyal to like assholes. I'm just loyal to people that maybe don't get along with other people, or their circle, they're not receptive to others, but they're really a good people, But this is like being loyal to someone who could never be loyal to you, and being blinded by the fact that they have it's something over all the everyone that's over there got something over them. Like, it's called a contract. So if all of them just recently signed a 5-year contract, the ones that are over there, if they're on Summer Madness, they signed 5-year agreements. I'm pretty sure they didn't just let them get on Summer Madness, because Summer Madness is the place that, like, ultimately that's like the Super Bowl. It used to be the Super Bowl, a battle rap. Would everybody agree with me on that? Like, to me, Summer Madness, like, I remember like going in a store and seeing like an old friend that I ain't seen in a while from my hometown or whatever. And like, yo, what you about to do? And like, yo, I'm about to go home and watch Summer Madness. Like, oh snap, I'm about to do too. I'm about to get some potato chips. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was really, so it's a rites of passage in battle rap. Like, you know, that's where a lot of battlers dream of going, to that stage right there, and having Smack stand there, and everybody is just it's an amazing feeling, because we're talking about the fans. We're not talking anything to do with just the fact that Smack is standing there, because he's used his like, people getting starstruck when they see him, and that's not working no more. And as soon as he got to open his mouth, it's just like, oh, you're telling on yourself. Go back, just be quiet, because he can't. When you really got something to say, you won't say "yeah," I mean, you know what I'm saying, because you actually will have things to say. But his tongue should be tied. They use clauses and threats. Queen T, nail on the head. They actually do. There are NDAs in there. You see it right here. I'm about to read it, Flo. They is proof right here. This is the Summer Madness Performance Agreement for Daylight for April 26th, right? 2021. This right here is proof. Tyron, what's up? Glad you made it. Tyron said, what's up to everybody in the chat? BRC Hub is laughing. All right. Remy definitely tried to make sure the females look good, and that's what Queen agrees with me. She did. All right, so let's go back into this. All right, so I want to continue reading, but I wanted to break it down this way. All right, so the artist, this is the next part to the URL performance agreement, Daylight, is their confidentiality and non-disclosure. What do we have here? They submitted this to the United States Supreme Court as Exhibit A. So ask them about Exhibit A, and why is Beasley lying to Twitter? This is public information, and I've already showed this and talked about this numerous times already, and we went over it. So now I'm glad that they lied on Twitter, because he freaking lied. For what? And it's not just oh, it's a shorter than having an elaborate NDA like I have for my companies and all my employees. What I want is what they put in here. All right, so let's talk about what's in here and what's in the URL, non-disclosure. Artist understands that in connection with its engagement by company and services performed hereunder, artists may receive, produce, or otherwise be exposed to company's non-public, proprietary, and confidential information concerning the company's trade secrets, proprietary, and or technical information, including without limitation, information concerning customer lists, customer support strategies, employees, research and development, financial information, including sales, cost, profit, and pricing methods, manufacturing, marketing, proprietary software, hardware, firmware, and related documentation, inventions, whether patentable or not, know-how, show-how, and other information considered to be confidential by company, and all derivatives, improvements, and enhancements to any of the above, including those derivatives, improvements, and enhancements that were created or developed by artists in connection with this agreement. in addition to all information company receives from others under an obligation of confidentiality, individually and collectively confidential information. That says a lot right there versus everything that Easy had in his. They're talking about, oh, look at 2B, bro. 2A. 2A, man. That don't look good. Nah, that don't look good, man. This Easy NDA ruining battle rap. This is from 2021, y'all. This is your favorite battle rapper's contract, including somebody like a Lux. Lux would have the same kind of contract. They're not playing with these people. They don't give them anything. You're nothing. When you go to URL and you battle, you're better off staying there and just dying over there, because there's no use of really going anywhere else, because you can't go to a big league. They're not having that. But they're going to make their millions off of you, whether you like it or not, as long as you stay over there. And the ones that are on Summer Madness, I'm pretty sure have a 5-year contract. All right, so this is the first part of their non-disclosure and the confidentiality clause inside the Ultimate Rap League LLC's performance agreement for Daylight, for the K-Shine versus Daylight. Now, I also want to mention, now this is page 4, so I'm going to go back because I want to show y'all something. Do you see this right here? It says K-Shine versus Daylight, right? So it leads me to potentially believe that this was an agreement that they all signed, because you see that this wasn't specially made for Daylight, because his name had to be typed in. So we can assume that who was in Summer Madness for 2021? Do y'all remember? Do y'all remember? Let's see. Was that was 10, right? Well, I can go over it, but let's put it like this. Hey, Playboy Princess here. Oh, Beasley, he promoting Summer Madness. Oh, it really looks bad. They down bad. They down bad. They got them, but they need to be out there doing something. All right, so this is the new one right now with T-Rock and Avenue. I wouldn't mind seeing, the guys battle. I don't have nothing against the guys on URL. I really think they're all amazing and talented gentlemen. And I do feel for them for how they have to go about doing things. And it's got to be a difficult place to be. That was a good card in 2021. I forgot everybody's on it, so I don't want to say and name someone and I'd be like, and get it mixed up. So I do remember the 2021 card. What is this? I'm on Reddit. But I mean, Summer Madness is always good events. Sue Surf was on. I know Sue Surf had to be on that one, right? What's this? Sue Surf, JC, Tay Rock, Swamp, Easy to Block, Captain, Calico, Chess, Shotgun Shug, Danny Myers versus Fonz. That was 12, right? No, damn, that was a good one too. Summer Madness 7 was Hitman, Holla, Tay-Rock, Reed Dials versus T-Rex, Iron Solomon versus Sue Surf, NJ Twerk versus DNA, Math Hoffa versus Av, Over versus Ill Will, Shotgun Shook versus Geechee Gotti. That reminds me, they was really doing their thing. And now it's RBA turn because it's about giving these guys an opportunity, giving them what they rightfully should be owed, and it's about these battlers promoting the battles too. Okay, thank you, Queen. Easy and Chess. That was on 2021. Queen, thank you. And she said, Arsenal and Lou Castro, Shine and Hollow, Surf and John, Mook and Reed. Wow. Yeah. See what I'm talking about? Like, but anybody that was on there, this is what they may have signed, which is what you see right here because it says, but it says K Shine and Daylight, which probably was gonna be the headliner. Oh no, not really. Ain't no headliner for some of my manners. It is. Really, but let's go into back to page 4. It's confidential and non-disclosure, which is clearly in their contract. Artist acknowledges that the confidential information is company's sole, exclusive, and extremely valuable property. Accordingly, artist agrees to segregate all confidential information from information of other companies and agrees not to reproduce or disclose any confidential information without company's prior written consent, not to use the confidential information except as required to perform artist's services pursuant to his agreement, and not to divulge all or any part of the confidential information in any form to any third party following the effective date, except to company employees or representatives or any third parties engaged by or affiliated with artists who need to know such confidential information in order for artists to perform the services. Artists shall require any such third party to execute a non-disclosure agreement satisfactory to the company before such third party is exposed to any confidential information. Do I hear that now? Whoever the fuck you associated with that you talk to, that because you talk to me and I'm talking to you about what we're doing. So anybody you talk to that's affiliated with you, that you speak to them regarding me and the business I'm doing with you, they also need a non-disclosure. Did Easy send everybody over there on disaster side? Did he say everybody need an NDA now because you talk too fucking much? But this is clearly inside there. It's pretty black and white, right? Okay. So we're clear on that. Upon termination or expiration of this agreement for any reason, artist shall not disclose or otherwise make available to company in any manner any confidential information, arrest warrants that it artist warrants that is performance of the services and entering into this agreement does not and will not breach any agreement entered into by artists with any other party. So they said, once this is over, artists shall not disclose or otherwise make available to company in any manner any confidential information. Artist warrants that its performance or the services entered into the agreement does not and will not breach any agreement. So basically, once this is over, we ain't got shit to do with you. And this talks about artist represents, warrants, and agrees that he or she is duly authorized and has legal capacity to execute and deliver this agreement. The execution and delivery of this agreement and the performance of the artist's obligations and services hereunder have been duly authorized, and the agreement in a valid and legal agreement, binding or on artists and enforceable in accordance with its terms. And artists shall perform all original material and artist content, the results and proceeds of artist services, as well as any other content or materials provided and or furnished by artists pursuant to this agreement as a whole or original with the artist, and the artist has obtained all rights, permission, consent, and releases necessary for the inclusion of all material performed. So the full use of the material performed and any part thereafter solely as published will not violate or infringe upon copyrights, trademarks, or other intellectual property rights, rights of publicity, rights of privacy, or any other rights of any third party, or constitute a libel or defamation of any person or entity. And artists shall take all necessary precautions to prevent injury to any person or damage to property during the term of this agreement. Mm. So you so basically, if anybody would be responsible and knowledgeable of what's going on with this contract upon signing this agreement, you're you're held accountable. Okay. Artist agrees to indemnify company and company designees, licensees, assigned officers, directors, shareholders, members, employees, representative, and or agents, affiliates, servants, representatives, employees, and contracts from all damages, liabilities, costs, losses, and expenses arising out of or in connection with any third party claim, demand, or action arise out of a breach or alleged breach of any of the warranties, representations, or covenants made by artists in this agreement, or from any damage, injury, including death, or loss to any person or damage to property arise in any way out of any act, error, omission, or negligence on the part of artists or persons accompanying artists during artist's performance, or artist's failure to fully fulfill any services or obligations under this agreement. Artists will reimburse company upon written demand for any payment made by company at any time in respects of any third party claim, liability, damage, or expense to which the foregoing indemnity relates. Company shall give artists prompt written notice of any claim to which the foregoing indemnity applies, and artists may participate in the defense of same with counsel of its choosing at its sole cost and expense, provided that the company's decision in connection with the defense of any such claim shall be final. If you die or the person around you die, because it says accompanying artists during artist performance or artist's failure to fulfill any services or obligation under the agreement. Um, if anything happens while you're on that stage, basically to you or to someone that you're with, um, or any that they're not responsible for any damage, injury, including death or loss to any person or damage to property arising in any way out of act, error, or omission or negligence on your part or persons accompanying you. So what does that mean? They're not responsible if shit get dark. To the fullest extent allowed by the law, the terms of this paragraph shall apply regardless of any loss or damages caused or allegedly caused by any act or of ordinary negligence, want of ordinary care, or non-willful misconduct of company and their respective officers, directors, shareholders, members, agents, employees, contractors, affiliates, servants, representatives, and employees in connection with artists' use of the services or supported of the company. Said that you got to be available if they want you to do mic checks and stuff. But I heard that they really don't even do technical checks or rehearsals like that. But this is saying that you have to be available at their beck and call for this to occur. But companies shall be responsible for any failure of the artist, shall not be responsible for any failure of the artist to use the scheduled time to perform the services required pursuant to the agreement, and the artist acknowledges that such failure may result in a loss of the scheduled opportunity it being understood that the artist shall remain responsible for all obligations and required services to perform pursuant to this agreement. Company shall provide all technical equipment. Termination. This agreement shall be effective as of the effective date and shall continue unless and until company cancels, reschedules, or changes proposed battle and or matchups for which artist shall render services. Now, the problem, I'm gonna tell you the problem with the contract in the beginning is that the contract doesn't explicitly state what event this is for. It says you're supposed to be available for that event and an event thereafter. But it doesn't say that this event that specifically that you're on, that it applies necessarily. So it's very vague when it comes down to that, which makes it harder to get for if you believe these contracts are actually enforceable. You find out that it makes it harder to feel like this benefits anyone but the company, because they're not even it's not even explicit as to what events this stands for. Outside of that's a general payment that we make, but that didn't cover. That's not what this was. It could easily, it says daylight in case China, so it's somewhat implied, but it does state that there's more to come after that, and it doesn't say that they pay you more money. So it's like, okay, you do this battle, but you're gonna do something else for us, and we want promotions and stuff. I read that in the beginning. If you go back, it's in there. I read it, which when you have something like that written into a contract, a performance agreement, because performance agreements don't stand up in court the way people think it is. And the reason why is because, especially something like battle rap, there's some complexities to it too, as far as even in the nature of the lyrics can become dated. For example, so what somebody might be prepared for in the work that they put in to do something that somebody, you know, says, "Oh, you're not going to do this one. We're going to do a battle later down." But none of them are getting money for or compensation for what they were prepared for under a current contract. So a contract that is not consistently have you performing is not a performance agreement, right? It's that simple, you guys. If your performance agreement, you're not performing, then it's a breach. Okay. This agreement shall be effective as of the effective date and shall continue unless and until company cancels, reschedule, or changes proposed battles and or matchups for which artist shall render services. Basically, that's exactly what the first paragraph states. The first paragraph says that it will be effective or changes proposed battles and or matchups for which artist shall render services. It says render service. It's all saying that your contract is effective as long as services is being rendered for battles. All that other stuff is don't mean shit. All right. I'm telling you these things. Additionally, companies shall have the right but not the obligation to terminate their agreement immediately upon notice to artists in the event of any of the following. Any breach by artists of this agreement, including without limitations, disclosure of confidential information, and they have that defined below. We're going to check that out. Any action by artists that constitute embezzlement, misappropriation, fraud, dishonesty, unethical business conduct, breach of fiduciary duty, or moral turpitude. What about them? So if they have unethical business conduct, like trying to block battles, like making Danny Myers fearful to perform on the trenches, even though he's performed everywhere else and he's never once did that in his whole career. And they have an issue with Easy the Black Captain, and out of nowhere, they hit the nuclear button on Danny. But wouldn't that be unethical business conduct? So that would make all of their contracts null and void. In the court of law would. This is why if you breach your contract, why they not taking out of court? They have not taken one person to court for these contracts, have they? The contract is not on the stand. Rare Breed is. By the actions, they said because he was under contract, but the contract was submitted into evidence. So now they can bring in professionals in business, professionals in law who can talk about these contracts and how it shows that there are actual battlers who have been arrested for fraud. Or had some moral turpitudes. I'm not here to judge anybody. But why would you put this in your contract when you know that some of the ones that are closest to you? The conviction of artists or entry of a plea of nolo contender, which is no contest, of any felon or misdemeanor crime. Do we not have convicted felons battle rapping at URL? None of them. Even if you get pulled over for a ticket, you can plea nolo contender. So if you had trespassing charges, which is a misdemeanor crime, or jaywalking, that's a misdemeanor crime, they can terminate your agreement. But last time I checked, they have felons battling over there. Ain't this battle rap? Like, we're all supposed to be felons. All right, so artist inability and other than due to a disability or refusal to perform the services. So if they can't and you're not disabled, you still, but what if you have mental health issues and you're not seeing a doctor? Or refusal to perform because you don't have insurance, because you're broke, because you stayed at URL and you ain't make no money. And then you can't work because when you work, they laugh at you and they joke at you in battle rap. Like that's a joke, like to clown you when you make an honest living, and then they glorify you and they celebrate you when you spend time behind bars away from your family and friends. It's battle rap, right? Or refusal to perform the services or any of artist's other duties hereunder, anything which negatively impacts artist's ability to effectively perform their services or artist's other duties hereunder, or interferes with artist performance or its obligations under their agreement in company's so utter unfettered opinion. Now, when I seen this in the complaint, that's how I knew that the person who wrote this contract is the current lawyer for the URLs with handling the case against Norbs. And they made sure that this was supposed to be somewhat sealed tight and shut to avoid you guys being able to be compensated for any of the battles that y'all done or the millions of dollars that they made off of y'all. Engagement by artists in any conduct or the commission by artists of any act which is injurious or detrimental to the interests of the company or which negatively impacts artists' ability to effectively perform the services or artist duties hereunder or interferes with the artist's performance of its obligations under this agreement and company's sole unfettered opinion. G. The filing of a petition in bankruptcy or insolvency for or against artists, which is not dismissed within 90 days. Artists' disregard or violation of the company policies, including without limitation policies regarding harassment or discrimination, or any other violation of the company's policies as an effect from time to time, or artists' gross negligence or willful misconduct in the performance of artist duties, or with disregard to the assets, business, or employees of the company. So, what about when NJ Twerk put his hands on Norbs? Would that have terminated his contract? But what I noticed is that he was the first one to perform on Caffeine. So he was rewarded, but your contract is to the contrary. And this was in 2021 that this contract was written up for Summer Madness. So Company and artist especially agree and understand that the artist is strictly and solely an independent contractor, and nothing in this agreement shall be construed in any way or manner to create between the parties a relationship of employer and employee, principal and agent, partners, a joint venture arrangement, or any other relationship other than that of independent parties contracting with each other solely for the purpose of carrying out the provisions of the agreement. Each party represents and warrants that it has reviewed this agreement with legal counsel of its own choosing, or has voluntarily waived the right to do so because it fully understands the intents and purposes thereof. This contract was written up by the person who is defending him with NORBS, because I can read his language. Company shall not be liable for any failure to perform its obligations in connection with any action described in this agreement. If such failures result from any act of God, riot, war, civil unrest, flood, earthquake, or any cause beyond such parties' reasonable control, including any mechanical, electronical, or communications failure, but excluding failure caused by a party's financial condition or negligence. Can you read that? Company shall not be liable for any failure to perform its obligations in connection with any action described in this agreement. If such failure results from an act of God, riot, war, civil unrest, flood, earthquake, or other cause beyond such parties' reasonable control, including any mechanical, electronical, or communication failure, but excluding failure caused by a party's financial condition or negligence. They don't care if they pay you and you're broke, you're still gonna do the battle broke. That's what they're saying, right? Kishai. In the event of an act of God, inevitable accident, fire, lockout, strike, or other labor dispute, riot, or civil commotion, act of public enemy, enactment, rule, order, or act of any government or governmental instrumentally, whether federal, state, local, or region, failure of technical facilities, failure or delay of transportation facilities, illness or incapacity of any performer, or other cause of a similar or different nature not reasonably within company's control, which results in cancellation by the company of any event for which artists shall be rendered services pursuant to this agreement, then without limiting company's rights, company shall have the option to reschedule such event for a later date and, if need, change artist's opponent, and artists will be bound by the same terms and conditions of this agreement. Validity, construction, and performance. This is the jurisdiction of the agreement shall be exclusively but and construed in ordinance with the laws of the state of New York without giving let me see. The parties consent and agree how legal proceeding arising out of the related to this agreement shall be exclusively maintained in either the federal or state courts in New York located in the county of New York, and by exclusive delivery of the. Usually, when we put into the jurisdiction area, it says usually if basically in a more layman's term, if you want to sue or you won't have an issue with this agreement that you signed, that you have a right to go to whichever such Supreme Court of New York City. All right, non-disparagement clause. Artists will not in any communications with the press or other media, including all forms of social media, before, during, or after the performance of the event, criticize, ridicule, or make any statement which disparages or is in a derogation of company or its affiliates, or that is reasonably like to damage their reputation, business, or business relationships in any material respect. And look, we also got a no compete. Artist acknowledges, agrees, warrants, and represents that the artist shall not render the same or similar services as required to be performed in this agreement or otherwise participate in a so-called rap battle type competition for or in connection with any other third party unless expressly approved by company in writing in company's sole unfettered discretion. Violation of this clause will result in the breach of per violation to be paid by artist to company immediately following the company's notice to artist, specifically artist's breach of this paragraph 11. So why would URL sue RBE if they got a no compete clause that said that if he did what he did with RBE that he would be charged? So what did they charge him a breach fee? Did Daylight pay a breach fee? I would like to know. I would like to know, did because if he was charged, because that's all that should have happened for this battle, but URL terminated the battle. The battle was terminated, and it had no just cause because it would have been a great battle. Agreement shall not create an obligation of one company to continue to retain artists beyond the termination or expiration of this agreement or the completion of the artist's services required hereunder. But they want to be loyal. Artist acknowledges that the artist services hereunder, as well as the rights and privileges granted to company under the terms hereof, are of a special, unique, unusual, extraordinary, and intellectual character, which gives them a particular value, and that in the event of a breach by the artist or any term or condition, representation, warranty, or covenant explained herein, the company may be caused irreparable injury and or damage. Artist expressly agrees the company shall be entitled to seek remedies and injunction and other equitable relief to prevent or remedy a breach of this agreement, which relief shall be in addition to and in no way limited to the other rights or remedies for damages or otherwise which company may have. Artist hereby agrees that in the event of any or more of the provisions of this agreement and is invalid or otherwise unforeseeable, the enforceability of remaining provisions shall be unimpaired. If any provision of this agreement or any part thereof is found to be invalid or unenforceable, the same shall not affect the remaining provisions, which shall be given full effect without regard to the invalid portions. Moreover, if any one or more of the provisions contained in this agreement shall be held to be excessively broad as to duration, scope, activity, or subject, such provisions shall be construed by limiting and reducing them so as to be enforceable the maximum extent with applicable law. See, what I got a problem with that is that when we usually write contracts, um, they mention that excessively broad as to duration, scope, activity, or subjects, or s- um, some of the provisions that contained in here. They say that if some of it is invalid, that the other parts can remain valid, but that's not how contracts work. Because if they're invalid in certain areas, it requires the signatures of those who are in there to agree that those parts are invalid and that the rest of the contract will remain valid. You can't do that with any contract. So for them to even put that in there, I'm surprised. I don't know how it works in New York, because I do live in New Jersey, but that is something that we don't do. We're more explicit with contracts. If the contract is null and void, isn't in specific areas, the contract is null and void. It doesn't have bearing on specific areas because it calls into question the rest of the contract, right? So that's why we do it like that. And it can be argumentative in court. All right, the terms contained in this agreement constitute the entire understanding and agreement between the parties with respect to the subject matter hereof and supersede all prior negotiation, representations, or agreements related thereto, whether written or oral. The language of all parts of this agreement will, in all cases, be construed as a whole in accordance with its fair meaning and not for or against either party. No modification. So if it's written that they're not for or against either party, and it clearly shows that this contract is definitely for one particular party because there's nothing in this giving away all the person's right to their existence with no compensation such as royalties. You can't that does not sound like that this contract is not for or against either party. Am I wrong? No modification, amendment, supplement to, or waiver of this agreement shall be binding upon the parties unless made in writing and duly signed by all parties hereto. No modification, amendment, waiver, termination, or discharge of any of this agreement or any terms shall be binding upon the parties unless confirmed by a document signed by both parties. The agreement may be executed in PDF form and facsimile. And okay, this agreement is valid and legal agreement binding on such party and enforceable in accordance with terms. Upon signing the agreement, artists acknowledge that the contract is officially secured artists for any battle as referenced within the term of the contract. But there is any battle. We can. What if they say that this is not really a battle? Like it's an exhibition, right? Y'all be letting these people play on y'all intelligent. Well, maybe they ain't got intelligent. I don't know. Oh, see past seeing. Thank you. I'm glad you made it. Do y'all see this flow? Do y'all see this? Let me show you the bottom part. That name over there as the authorized signatory, signatory, that is Jean French. Jean French, let's talk about him. And I don't know why his name is Daylight's name is redacted, but I can see it through there. That's interesting, right? But I can't see through this because I love to see what this says. Well, anyway. All right. So we just went through the URL contract. So there's only a couple more things that I want to go into because I have a big day ahead of me tomorrow. All right. So listen. Is disaster racist? When somebody show you who they are, you believe them. I don't know what he on, but it's not gin and juice. And I don't know what's going on with him not paying people, or him attacking everybody, knowing that he ain't pay everybody. Because when you have so many people that help to make that event so great, including Easy the Black Captain, who gave a phenomenal performance, and you think that he would show humility because he is a guest in this battle rap industry. I don't care how long he's been here. He didn't pioneer this. There were people before him. There will be people after him. And no matter if we got disaster, we still got the rest of our brothers and sisters who always hold it down. All right. So, my concern with disaster is the fact that there was a 3 Letterman, right? You guys seen that? 3 Letterman had disaster on there, and he let disaster talk to him crazy. But as soon as Easy tried to check him on Spaces with him and Averb was on there, right? And Easy was trying to tell him about stuff like, you know what I mean? Like, you play stupid game, you win stupid prizes, right? That's what you get for putting him on there. That man went on there and was like, shut up. And you was like, and everybody's like, oh, look at 3 Letterman. He's holding himself so well. He's so elegant. No, fuck that. You ain't gonna be talking to me any kind of way. I don't care what kind of profession I'm in. And it doesn't seem like 3 Letterman had the same energy for disaster as he had for Easy, who has constantly been on his channel, who has constantly supported him, who he has made a lot of money and had a lot of engagement and a lot of views off of Easy the Black Captain. And for Easy to feel like he wanted to express himself because he wasn't like trying to check him, he's expressing how he feel. And the crazy part is that as soon as a black man try to tell you how they feel, it gets disregarded, but you let disaster have a platform to go on there, ranting and raving, disrespect you, 3 Letterman, and you've been in here and around damn near as long as him. You rightfully belong here. He called you a guest in your own house, and you know what you did? You sat down. You might as well just been picking some cotton. because you get no brownie points for being well reserved with him, but as soon as a verb, as soon as Easy says something, you was quick to jump. Now you tough. What was all that energy for Disaster? Right or wrong? Squeaking. Right. Let me tell you. I didn't like I didn't like I didn't like that. I took offense to that. I think that Disaster is full of himself right now. And he probably gonna crash. He need to come down. He needs to drink some water or something to get some sleep. I'm hoping, hey Kaylee, what up? I hope that he really realizes that the community that Three Letterman comes from, he so-called apologized. It's just the fact that he could even be like that. And then when he replied to um Easy the Black Captain on Twitter, and he had the nerve to talk, and he called his fan base unintelligent, when we know that's a lie, because most of the people that support Easy the Black Captain are the professionals in battle rap, the ones who have real, careers. You know, we don't sit online all day. He's gonna tax for him from Easy, and he was paying him tonight. Yeah, and that's all he should be talking about. Now, after he talks about that, then he can talk all his shit. Just handle your business, sir, and understand that NDA that Easy the Black Captain had, there's nothing as damaging as this. Because this right here, the same guys is on Twitter talking about the NDA and battle rap. These freaking contracts from the URLs was killing battle rap. I don't care what nobody's saying. It been killed battle rap. As soon as they put it behind a paywall, as soon as they said that, where it's so many people that don't even have bank accounts and stuff, but they have like a bootleg phone and something. It's people over in Africa and different countries and stuff that love battle rap, but things are stuck. They can only go on YouTube because they get data service hourly, so they can only go once in a while. So they'll never get to see any of the URL top contenders from the URL app, because most of them live in foreign countries. But think of the millions of people who just won't see them, or you see how Easy the Black Captain picked up traction. Even when he did the battle out there with Disaster, what did the guy say on the thing? He's like, yo, I ain't never seen him before. I'm a Easy the Black Captain fan. You know what I mean? Okay, so Easy behind on paperwork as a businessman. Right? It's business, and you have to protect your operations, because what he's doing is trying to create a blueprint so us doctors like myself can be able to put this into business journals, and other Black women, men, or anyone for that matter will be able to go to business journals, or there will be a book or something written that can show people how to succeed in battle rap outside of battling, or even battling, how to capitalize off of battling, how to do contract negotiations and stuff like that, and taking this URL contract and pulling it apart to show how you can negotiate it, that is fair for both parties, because this is not fair for both parties. And you could just read everything in there and tell me where does the artist benefit? Tell me that. Wait, Beasley was capping NDA. Oh wait, Kelly, you just got here. So before I get there, he started to discredit himself because he won't stop talking. Yeah, because he knows that I have it. Yes, URL has NDAs, and we have proof. This is filed in court and public document now. Tell him, Ariel, filed in 2021. Beasley lie. Okay, hold on, Kelly. Let me show you. All right. And this is the no compete in here. But let's go up to page 4. Yeah. What do we have here? This is URL submitted this to the courts for they're suing Rare Breed Entertainment for tortious interference regarding the daylight battle. For this was supposed to be the Summer Madness event. And you see they typed in his name. So these are probably the April 26, 2021 performance agreements for everyone that was at Summer Madness that particular year. So that right there shows you that this is, and it was submitted to the courts. That's the index number for the courts. You see where it's filed at, right? It's filed in New York. Here we have we have a confidential and non-disclosure agreement, and it says the same stuff that's in his employees, research and development, financial information, including sales, costs, profits, and pricing, artists made, everything. But there's so much more in this contract. It's so much more. Wait, let me pull it up. I forgot. I wasn't screen sharing. Hold on. Let's get this up for you guys. All right. So, Kaylee, let me show you. My bad. This is Exhibit A. This was submitted to the United States Supreme Court on behalf of Ultimate Rap League against Rare Breed Entertainment. This is the Exhibit A, which is a URL performance agreement for Daylight for April 26, 2021. This is for Summer Madness. They terminated him, and then they charged Rare Breed with tortious interference. They put in a contract that they saw Norbs with him. They put this in a complaint. We saw him with him, and he said that ARP said that he didn't want anything to do with Norbs, but he's over there with him, and they're probably giving away our secrets. That's what they put in to the Supreme Court. The URL did. So this is an official document, and this right here shows that they have not only a confidential and non-disclosure, they got an indemnity clause in here, meaning that if you or anybody that you bring to that battle, something happens and you die or you get seriously hurt, ain't nothing you can do. You're on your own, or you gotta sue the venue. But they got indemnity clauses in their contracts too. On top of that, they have the no compete in there and a whole bunch of stuff in there, basically that gives away your rights to everything. But it's clear and simple right here. Confidential and non-disclosure agreement. They don't want you giving away nothing, no confidential information. Anything that Smack or Beasley or Chico conversate with them about. So their non-disclosure basically states that if you talk to them about anything that goes on about the battle or what they do in their business dealings or regarding your battle or anything to do with the URL that they have a conversation with about their operations and things that they do, then that's what the non-disclosure is. And Ariel, yes, Busy lied. And I don't even know why they so blatantly, why they so emboldened to just, I don't know if they think people stupid, or I don't know if they think that I didn't go through all the many documents and stuff or what. But hey, listen, I have a big day tomorrow, so I cannot stay on here. But I love you guys. So let's just go over really quickly. URL performance agreement for Summer Madness for 2021 has a non-disclosure agreement, confidentiality, and a no compete. Disaster, I don't know or can say that he is really racist. I would love to go as that far to say that, but I just think that there is nothing that I will leave off the table when it comes to Disaster, because he's a different breed. Like something up top, his elevator don't go to the top floor. Okay, if you know him, then you know that. And I'm not giving him an excuse. I'm just saying, like, he dead ass crazy. He dead ass crazy, y'all. I don't know if y'all just finding out about disaster, but like nothing ceases to amaze me and then I don't know how he stayed or was able to stay into this battle rap industry, except the fact that over on the west side of the United States, because of the length of time he's been around, he gets some kind of praise for that. Um, and a lot of the people who follow him are also probably like him. Think about that. So that'll sustain you too. A lot of people who love our culture and who just like to monopolize off of it, but can't stand us. As far as in Three Letter Men, I'm a little bit disappointed in him because he had too much energy for Easy, and he seemed to be able to fight back when it came down to Easy expressing what the elephant in the room, and he was quick to jump at him like whoa, whoa, whoa. But how many times did he let Disaster get on his platform and just utterly shit on him? Like he literally shit on you. It was graphic, it was disturbing, it was disrespectful, it went too far, and he should have checked him. And to apologize behind the scenes is not good enough for me because me, like a lot of us reputable African American hardworking people out here that I communicate with, we're not going for that. This might be battle rap, but we have something called dignity and respect here too. These guys work really hard at what they do, and it's not fair that Disaster gets to have the goalposts move for him. So there should be some kind of sanction for his ass doing that. And sensitivity to the fact that he is a guest. So until he says that he a guest, I can't support him. It's just that simple. And I don't care what he say, he better give people their money because he playing around with too many people, But hopefully he starts cutting those checks to people. I think he probably had to wait for that money to clear. I'm pretty sure he made a nice amount of money. And Easy don't need to go back and forth with him no more because he's so above him at this point. You know what I mean? So I will be seeing you guys soon. Let me know. Listen, I'm gonna probably be back in 2 weeks. But I'm gonna try to pop on. At least I'll be on social media. So you might not see me here. But thank you guys for coming. I appreciate y'all. And I'll be back soon. I'm gonna let the music rock for a minute. Welcome to Dr. Rosie Channel. Where you wake up to do my entertainment. You know see every Tuesday there. Make we link up, make you know the intent. She there for our people. She there for our people, no lie. She there for our people. She dedicated her life for this lifestyle. This a lifestyle you all know. You will see do one thing, you know say that for sure. She never say no bad things, she know I'm on it, no. Giving you good vibes, she there for our people. Somebody got Rosie. Somebody got Rosie. Somebody got Rosie. Somebody got Rosie. She there for you, yeah, she there. She there for you, yeah, she there. Everything where you there for you, she there. I mean, I just this entertainment, she there. She there for you, yeah, she there. She there for you, yeah, she there. Everything where you there for you, she there. I mean, I just this entertainment, she there.